Greetings, everyone. Hey, how you doing? It's Matt Sella. Today, we are doing a spoiler talk review for The Owl House, Season 2, Episode 6, dubbed Hunting Palismen. Joined with me, as always, is my good friend Marc via Satellite Radio. Let the world hear your voice, your wondrous, beautiful, often degrading voice, Marc. How you hanging in there?
What do you mean degrading? Wait a minute. Was that an attack? I feel attacked.
You know, as everything, Marc, things sound like an attack, but it's actually a compliment. Are you as confused as I am?
Probably.
But I'll tell you what's not confusing. Enjoying our content like this. You guys already know, Marc and I, we like to talk about animation, whether in TV or movies. We enjoy it, and we love sharing our opinions with you, as well as hearing your thoughts on those said animated content. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, like reviews like this, and share among your friends and family. It really helps. But without further ado, Marc, let the folks know, what's this episode, Hunting Palismen, all about?
I'm glad you asked, Matt. Well, during a meeting with the Coven heads, Emperor Belos suffers from curse-like ailments and asks the Golden Guard, his nephew named Hunter, to go find him more Palismen to keep it at bay. Unfortunately for our heroes at Hexside, it's Palismen Adoption Day provided by the Bat Queen because there's not enough wood, Palismen wood that is, for young witches to really make staffs anymore, pretty much because the Emperor's probably been, draining the life of Palismen. And while plenty of students do manage to find it a Palismen to adopt, Luz doesn't because she finds she doesn't have a commitment, really. She wants to be a witch, but what does that even mean? So, during the night, Luz goes back to the school to try and connect with a Palismen, only to be kidnapped along with the Palismen by the Golden Guard, who then get attacked by a crazy hand dragon that is under the control of Kikimora because she pretty much wants to kill the Golden Guard because he's essentially the number 2 to the Emperor and she doesn't like sharing. And the two have to avoid a giant hand dragon, deal with the fact that Hunter maybe isn't as powerful as we thought he was, especially without his staff, and, maybe learn to understand each other along the way. And maybe, just maybe, one of them will go home with a cute little cardinal palisman of their very own. And that's about the summary of it without giving away too many spoilers before we get into it. Matt, what did you think of the episode?
Definitely to get the highlight out of the way for me personally is I like the whole, as you said, Marc, before we start recording, we actually like the fact that we start to challenge Luz on why does she even want to become a witch? What is the practicality behind that? Say she learns magic, say she becomes a witch, well, what is she going to do with that learned magic? And the fact that in order to gain a palisman, you have to have that certain conviction. But Luz hasn't really thought that much ahead. And I kind of like that we explored that a little bit more. It gave us an opportunity to kind of really flesh out what is her dreams, like where does she see herself in the future outside of just reuniting with her mom in the human world. So I gotta give props to that. I really like that we came back around to that.
No, yeah, this is the first time in a while, pretty much since the beginning of the series, we've had Luz's sensibilities of a magical world and even her role in it challenged, really. So much like in the beginning where she discovered it isn't like a young adult novel. This is, well, actually a lot of young adult novels are pretty horrible and dystopian, but it's not high fantasy. It's not everybody has a purpose and everything. It's kind of just being real with Luz. What do you want from this world? This world just isn't going to give you things. And I think that's really cool and kind of something fun we don't do a lot with a lot of narratives, especially ones where the main character finds himself in another magical fantasy world. And yeah, no, that was probably a highlight for me. I know a lot of people really like the relationship that winds up kind of growing between Hunter and Luz. I liked it a lot, but Matt, we both kind of agreed that maybe this was a little fast for us, given that we just kind of met the Golden Guard as a threat, and, we kind of maybe would have liked to have seen him be more of a direct threat to Luz and everybody. Not that we didn't like what happened, just maybe that it came a little too fast for us. What did you think?
I know we didn't really talk much about this, Marc, but I feel like, and I know the production behind the Owl House seemed to be pretty open to the creator, as far as I could tell, but I feel like lately with some animated TV shows that plot lines needed to be rushed a few times. Maybe that's because of what's been going on in the world with the pandemic. I wonder if that had something to do with the fact that the Golden Guard just has only really appeared twice for us, and suddenly we're starting to humanize him, kind of give him the Zuko treatment of a possible redemption arc, which clearly that's where we were headed. But yes, I feel like we should have had a little bit more time with him as an antagonist figure and then reel in and show his face, his true name to our main character, Luce, and what kind of person he actually could be instead of just being a pawn to the Emperor Bellows.
Absolutely. And like I said, I don't think either of us necessarily disliked how it was handled, just that it was handled so abruptly. I actually was very shocked that we actually had the full reveal of him, his name, his face, and his own relationship to Bellows so quickly into the season. Although, I mean, we are halfway through the halfway point here, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But I kind of would have expected that as more of maybe kind of the beginning of the second season if we had him kind of be the square off at the end of this little mini half of the series. I don't know. It did just, feel a little rushed to me. I did like it. I actually do like Hunter kind of as a character. I think he's pretty fun and everything. I actually kind of was surprised how immature he was. I think he kind of had, even as a direct antagonist, a bit of a immaturity to him, but like a lot of people were even going as far as to saying him and Luz almost had a sibling dynamic thing going on there, which was interesting. I mean, the guy licked her hand when she was trying to cover his mouth, for pit's sake. That seems pretty...
That's a desperate move.
Yeah, that was a desperate move for a guy who just fell out of an airship. But I mean, God, I love airships. Yeah. But what did you think of, well, I guess we'll keep going on the spoilers. What did you think of Hunter getting the Palismen, the Cardinal, sort of dubbed Little Rascal, I guess, for lack of a better term? I can't say I didn't see it coming. I saw it coming pretty easily. But do you think that was maybe just a little too on the nose for us, hinting at his redemption, maybe? Or just were you happy for him even?
I was happy for him, yes. And to echo what you said, I do like the whole thing of Hunter being more fleshed out, being a little bit more deeper than one might initially assume, being a bad guy. Him getting his own Palismen staff, I think really speaks to like what kind of conviction he might have in mind outside of just being the number 2 to the Emperor. I didn't entirely see that coming, but I do know that's one of the 2 options that could have happened. Luce could have got the Cardinal as her Palismen, and it seemed like throughout the episode, like the Cardinal kept hanging around her the most. Heck, it even kind of emoted along with her during certain situations. And I thought, yeah, that would have been kind of cute considering the fact that she was tutored under an owl-themed witch. Well, Luce can't be an owl, but give her a little bird too of a cardinal or something. But it going to Hunter to me kind of makes a little bit more sense considering everything would led up. And plus, Mark, we didn't really mention the secret B plot, if you want to call it that Eda and King went out to try to get Luce raw material to build her own Palismen staff, even though the resources for that is extremely rare nowadays. It would have been kind of awkward if Eda's whatever journey she did came back, gave her the materials, but then all of a sudden Cardinal comes in and says like, I'm going to be Luce's staff. That kind of would have undermined that whole thing, even though we didn't get to see that plot line. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. And also Hunter showed conviction in front of the Palismen. His conviction of wanting his own future and stuff like that. So it makes sense it would go to him. And I mean, I'm kind of glad we didn't see the B plot in this episode, because that would have ruined a bit of the ending for us if we knew even had a hint of what Eda and King were up to. And I do like the fact that 1, they just stole it, and 2, even pretty much without magic, Eda's just a good thief.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, no, you brought up to a point where it's like if they did show it, then that would have taken away that theory of people wondering, hey, I wonder if Luce is going to get the Cardinal. But yeah, I had no problem with that execution in terms of all that.
And it is worth mentioning, just while we're at it, at the very least, the Emperor and Hunter, or at the very least their family, seem to be witches that cannot perform magic. Whether how much that relates, at least naturally, the way we've come to understand it with the sack that's attached to a witch's heart, as was so horribly pointed out earlier in this series. But that's very interesting. I think a lot of people are running with the theory that if the Emperor is not the human, I forget his name, who ventured to the Boiling Isles, maybe him and Hunter are at the very least descendants of said human, possibly. But also, and that's that main theory, really. I'm kind of leaning that way a little bit more now, though if he is the original human, that does make things more interesting, because Hunter does say he was also found by Bellows. So it's a little, I don't know, there's some ambiguity to their familial relationship, I suppose, for me personally. And I guess if anything, if Golden Knight isn't going to necessarily be the main threat under Bellows, at least as much as we thought, I think it at least definitely probably cements Kikimora as being that kind of threat.
And there's more threats to come. I mean, we got the reveal of the Coven leaders who gathered around at the beginning to kind of see, I suppose, a prophecy of what Bellows might be trying to do with the human world. So threats will definitely start popping up way more prominently here on out, I think.
For sure. And I think at that, we can all agree. We're definitely looking forward to it. Happy with the direction the season is going, even if it's going a little fast. Though I think really in a lot of ways, that's kind of been the Owl House's MO. It really doesn't linger on things or drag things out the way a lot of other series do in the how to put in the more overarching story format, which is kind of nice. I think maybe this was maybe just the first time we saw it maybe not work as well for us, or at least what we wanted out of it, but still very enjoyable. But one last thing from me, I do love we finally see Principal Bump without his hat, and it turns out his hat is actually his Palismen, and it's the cute little demon, and he actually has majestic flowing hair. He just can't see very well, and his Palismen helps him with that. And it's really cute. I actually love Bump a lot as a side character, and, they gave him the kind of the Adventure Time Finn Locks treatment, which, is always fun when you have a character who always wears a hat, take it off, and it's not they're bald or something, I guess. But yeah, no, a lot of fun, and looking forward to it more.
Absolutely. Well, folks, you heard our opinion, but now we want to hear yours. Let us know in the comment section below, what did you think of this episode of The Owl House Season 2, Episode 6, Hunting Palismen? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Share your thoughts. Join the conversation. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when new videos drop. And if you want to support me directly, consider going to my Patreon. And if you want to watch me do some animation, check me out on Twitch. I usually stream on weekends. Links are in the description below. This is Matt Sella.
This is Mark.
Thanking you all for tuning in.